Hey friends, welcome back to the garden. On this day, I decided to pull the cloth back and do a little weeding and check on my cabbages. These are Napa cabbages. If you refer back to some of my previous videos, you can see where I started these by seed. And I just wanted to kind of check on the centers of them and see how they were heading up. And a couple of them actually seem like they're pretty close to ready to being harvested. Then I got a little farther down and I noticed that one was just absolutely demolished. You'll see it here in just a second. And I assumed because the bok choys were so tore up that this was probably cabbage worms as well. But when I went to squeeze the center of it and look at it a little closer, I noticed that the damage was mostly the outer leaves. I decided to go ahead and spray some BT on it anyways. This is safe for organic gardening, and basically it just makes the caterpillars stop eating and they starve to death. There's no chemicals in it. I'm checking on my borage. It's looking pretty. It's about to start to flower. Again, checking the rest of the Napa cabbages. They look great, except for just that one. And I couldn't figure it out because I thought if it was caterpillars, they'd be everywhere. And then I saw this little black dot here. And when I picked it up, I immediately knew what it was. This is a flea beetle. See him leap off my finger. So I'm gonna have to get some diatomaceous earth to come up here and treat for that. If I can get a few days without rain and salvage the center of that, I'll be happy. While I was weeding, I found another volunteer. Last year, I found catnip growing near the shed by my house, and it does grow wild here in western Kentucky. So I dug it up and I put it in a pot in the garden, and it did go to seed, and I let it. It flowered and it went to seed, and it was beautiful. The pollinators all really enjoyed it. Well, it died and it didn't come back, but this is a volunteer catnip, and I believe I'm just going to leave it rather than try to uproot it and move it. I don't think it's really in the way of anything. This bed is going to become the bed for the black beans. So you can always tell something in the mint family, which catnip is, by the square stems on the plant. So I'm really happy that it came back, honestly. No, I don't have a problem with an invasion of cats in the garden. In fact, my garden kitty doesn't even like catnip. So I'll be really happy to be feeding the pollinators some catnip this year. And I always dry some for the inside cats. This borage looks lovely. All of my borage is also volunteer from last year. And this squash right here was planted by accident. I must have dropped a seed, but it looks really good. It looks better than the ones that I planted on purpose. In fact, it's starting to put on flowers. The only thing wrong with it really at this point is some of the leaves have big holes in them from a hailstorm we had. We actually had a tornado that came about a half a mile away, so I'm really thankful we didn't get any damage from that. We're all safe and sound. Our little Super Sweet 100 has started putting on tomatoes. They are so cute, that little cluster right there. I'm pretty happy about that. And this is a Ruby Monster tomato. It is my very first big tomato. I just keep checking on it every day and cheering it on. I'm pretty sure that the rest of these will start putting on tomatoes soon. They all have flowers on them. I just have to point out like how absolutely impressed I am that even in a tornado, I mean like 80, 90 mile an hour winds, these tomatoes aren't trellised and they didn't break. But I did notice that this one was starting to lean, so I really need to come out here and get some trellising going on for these guys before they start falling over and rerooting. The tomatillos look really good. They've grown quite a bit since the last vlog. The one in the center is still kind of small, but the ones on the end look great. They have flowers, and I'm not sure, but I think the little green pods there are fertilized tomatillos. So I'm gonna wait a few days and go out and check again and see if those are actually starting to make a paper husk. The peppers all look really good. Again, survived this storm without any trellising. I'm so shocked. I just knew for sure they would all be blown down and broken. It does look like some of the blossoms fell off, but that's to be expected in like 90 mile an hour winds. I'm not shocked. But they have the whole summer to go ahead and grow. Now, everything does look kind of yellow here, but it was golden hour when I filmed this. So it's translating a lot more yellow on camera than it actually was. Everything looks nice and green, and it has recovered from all of that torrential rain that we had. I already have some cucamelons up here. Does anybody know, like, how can you tell they're ready to harvest? Everything I read said harvest your cucamelons when they're about an inch long, and that's about how big these guys are. So, would you say that these are ready for me to go ahead and pick? I mean, that's about an inch. They're so cute, and we're all so excited to get to try them. Y'all let me know. When should I harvest those? All of my cucumbers that are planted between the cucamelons look really great right now, too. And after the storms that we had the other day, our temperatures cooled off drastically. We had some days before the storms that were like pushing 90. And my sugar snap peas looked like they were struggling, but with the cooler temps that we've had for the last few days, they kind of rebounded and they're starting to put on flowers again. So I'm hoping they'll get a chance to do their thing before they just kind of keel over from the heat this summer. Lettuces are still growing. I would just like to get one good salad out of that before I try again in the fall. I planted them way too late. And as you can see here, all of my yellow green bean plants have greened up now, and they look fantastic. I was worried about them. I was afraid the rain had just really done a number on them, but they're starting to bounce back, starting to get lots of true leaves, and before you know it, this bed right here is going to be overflowing. And I'm going to be harvesting baskets of green beans. A lot of people say harvesting green beans is tedious, but I really enjoy it. I'll just pull a bucket up and sit down and just pick through them until my basket is full. Onto the center bed, I wanted to come and check on my okra because before the storms I had flowers coming on the okra plants already. Um, and I just wanted to see, like there, it looks like one of the flowers fell off. But then I get on down to this one and boom, okra. I was not expecting that. These plants are still so small. They're not even like 2 feet tall and it's already trying to make okra. So should be a very interesting summer. My snapdragons are starting to open. This is a pretty cream color with some like blushing on the lip of it. I just planted an assorted pack of snapdragons, so this is kind of like the lottery, getting to see what color they're going to be when they start to open. Like these over here on this side look more like a yellow and purple or yellow and brown. I just really love these guys and they're so pretty and I'm really glad that they made it through transplanting. Some of my herbs are looking a little unhappy, but I think the yellow at the bottom of the dill there is from all of the rain that we got. When I tell you that we had like a week of torrential rain and flooding, and it was just ridiculous, we really did. These are the zucchini and squash that I planted with intention, and you see how much smaller these are than the one I planted by accident? It's kind of crazy, actually. Um, in fact, I'm thinking about when I harvest my Napa cabbages, look, I have a radish. Isn't that cool? I was just so excited about having a couple of radishes. But I think when I harvest the Napa cabbage, I'll do black beans at one end and then plant some more zucchini in the other end. And a big shout out to whoever made this cloth and hoop system. This thing withstood a tornado and never budged, not an inch. I was checking in on my spoon tomatoes, and about a week and a half ago, I noticed like some really funky looking branches on it, like the leaves were starting to be speckled and purpled, and you can kind of see some there at the top. So I spent a while just pruning off like the little leaves that just looked horrible, and it's starting to recover. It's getting taller, and I have my very first spoon tomato. Is that not the most adorable thing you've ever seen? Yes, I ate it. I absolutely did. I have no guilt about that. There's one more that's ready. I'll pick him too, and I'm going to leave the other two there to get a little bit more red if the birds don't steal it first. I wanted to show you this mammoth basil. It is absolutely stunning. Look at the size of these leaves. And when you touch this plant, the smell that wafts off of it, I can't even describe it. It's almost like licorice. It's so fragrant. I could plant like 100 of these around my house just for the smell. It's amazing. I did pinch that off a while back so that it would get a little bushier, and it's starting to do exactly that. I have some more lettuce down here. Like I said, just one salad. That's all I want. They just need to hang in there. I am looking for some ideas and suggestions for some low-laying flowers that I can plant along in front of my tomatoes. That seems like an awfully big waste of space over there. And I don't want to plant anything that's going to crowd my tomatoes because I know those plants are going to be enormous. But I would like to cover the ground a little bit because I do get a lot of weed pressure from crabgrass. And anything that can help starve the crabgrass of light will make my life a little easier in the long run. So definitely leave me your suggestions below for like low-laying flowers that make good ground cover. And that's all I have for you this week, friends. If you're new here, hi, my name is Jen. I make cooking, canning, and food preservation videos every Tuesday and garden vlogs on Friday. I hope that you'll consider subscribing and sticking around. We'd love to have you here. Until next time, friends, happy gardening.